submitted for your approval. You're about to witness the music career of Bryan Marr. He's not a rock star, he's not a legend. His influence on rock music may never be written about in any book. He is a man who loves rock music and who pursued a career in it. Bryan was born on May 8, 1955 in Van Nuys, California. He attended Bassett Elementary School and took up music while attending Mulholland Junior High.
When I went to junior high, they had music classes, and they had orchestra. And in orchestra, you could play the bass fiddle, and they teach you how. And I knew that the strings on the bass fiddle were the same as the strings on the guitar, pretty much. I thought, I'll go in there, get some free lessons, and then I'll just go to guitar. Well, here I am, 51, and I still consider myself a bass player. My very first band was called the Lavender Pipe. I don't remember where we got the name. I remember that I came up with it real fast because the other guys wanted to have this political name. I think it was the 39th or the 49th parallel, which was the separation line of North Vietnam and South Vietnam. And as a kid, I was real conservative, and I was for the war effort, and I didn't want to have anything to do with anything that could be construed as anti-war. So I just came up with this psychedelic sounding name, which I think I stole from another band.
In high school, Bryan had long hair, and he was a musician, and he always had a girlfriend, and I didn't. But I thought long and hard about that, and I figured, well, what better way for a girl to freak out her parents than to have Bryan Marr as your boyfriend? That's why he always had a girlfriend, I'm convinced.
Jeroboa, that was another name that we actually took off the back of a piece of equipment that I bought. It looked like a good name. And it was Gary Evans, Dave Portia was the drummer, and we were a three-piece for a long time, and we made a lot of racket and made music after a fashion.
Bryan has played all the great clubs in Los Angeles, all the world-famous stops. He's played the Whiskey A Go-Go with Permanent Damage. I saw him at Gazzari's with a band called Naugahyde Lounge. And he played the Troubadour with Hellion.
Permanent Damage, yeah. That was a real interesting band. That was a real melding of a lot of different musical styles. And the fellow that did most of the writing was a young guy, and the youngest guy in the band, his name was Rob Adamek. He was probably the least capable musician, but he had a real good head for writing good pop songs. It was a fun band for a while.
They played a couple gigs at the Whiskey, and I went there with them, and they said, why don't you introduce the band on the stage of the Whiskey A Go-Go? And, you know, I'm not a musician, I'm a total dweeb, yet there I was, standing on the Whiskey stage in front of a full house, saying, ladies and gentlemen, you've got Permanent Damage.
It was a really good band. That was one of the first bands that I was in where really had it all together. I mean, we had a really good look, we had a really good sound, they had a lot of professional grade equipment. Everybody in the band knew what they wanted to do, and that was to go out and kick some serious butt and play some good rock and roll. And we did that for a little while, and like with a lot of bands, we got as far as the band was going to get. And there was a group I was with for about 2 years called Sorcery, and Sorcery had been a big LA club band, and when I got into that band, I thought, oh, I'm headed for the top with these guys. Had two seasoned veterans, a drummer named Perry Morris and a guitar player, Richard Smokey Huff. And he was really a great guitar player. And the two downfalls of that band was we had great material, but the two older guys in the band looked their age. And the guitar player, he was in like 5 other bands. So I started playing in a cover band called the Boom Band. And that started out from being just a garage band. I mean, a couple of the guys in the band had been I think Mark had been a studio drummer for a very short time, but he was a really good drummer. And the band evolved from being this kind of garage group cover band into a really good cover band, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And we were playing every month somewhere, and we were playing tunes that in another life I probably wouldn't touch.
I've worked with all the great performers in rock music, but none was as great as Bryan Marr. If you were to look up rock and row in your dictionary, you would see a photo of Bryan right next to the definition. He was rock music made flesh, from his long hair all the way down to his shoes. But one day, he turned his back on us all, and he walked away out into the prairie. He used his talent to play Western music. You know, Gene Autry type material. Back in the saddle again, and other such drivel.
Actually, the gig where the boom band kind of came to an end was the gig that I was going to say, look guys, I'm leaving the band, I'm going to go play Western music. So we got to be a pretty decent Western band, and played a lot of places, got some national recognition. For a while there, it was a really great ride. I mean, we were getting more attention in shorter periods of time than any other Western group in recent history. Being a musician is the worst Jones than heroin. It's something you just can't get. It's not, there's no 12-step program for it.
With cookies at the crack of dawn, we pulled our dusty boots back on, checked our goods and head down to the church. We grab a meal and give a yawn. We'll be riding till the daylight's gone, shiny shivering off of old Plan B. At night by the firelight, we talk of what it would be like. Cool our steaks and buy us bread, find some pretty girls to wed, and see us sounding better every day. All day long we listen on as the trail boss sings his endless song. Let's saddle up and move out on our way. There's work to do to draw your pay. You'll be doing this till you're old and gray. Plan B is getting older every day. At night by the firelight, we talk of what it would be like to cool our steaks and buy us bread, find some pretty girls to wed, Plan C is sounding better every day. Back again in worn-out saddles, driving someone else's cattle across the dusty trails of the lone prairie. Now Plan A didn't work so well, and Plan B, well, you can probably tell it'll be a while